cool gear, and that lets you save. Look here.
True Form Life.
Green look on.
Welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. As always, I'm your host, True Form's Drew Taddia, fitness expert. On today's episode, we're airing part 1 of a 3-part series of my interview with Jamieson Brown and his weight loss journey. That and so much more coming up on...
This is Exploring Mind and Body with True Form's Drew Taddia, fitness expert on 96.5 CKFM.
This segment brought to you by Complete Truth Protein Powder. Live free, live true with whole natural foods. No additives, preservatives, soy, gluten, and dairy free. Supplement with superfoods to energize your day. Visit CompleteTruthProtein.co for details.
All right, on today's Exploring Mind and Body, I wanted to bring in my producer, Jamieson Brown, who has shown some incredible weight loss changes. And I always like to interview people and ask questions about how they've found success. And it's clear that Jamieson's lost quite a bit of weight since I met him. And he's been able to keep it off, which is most important to me because we'll find out shortly if those are lifestyle changes or there's something else going on there. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jamieson Brown to the show. Welcome, Jamieson.
Yeah, it's about time I get invited to actually talk on the show.
You always talk on the show.
That's true. Not quite as much as I would like to be featured on the show.
Well, today is your spotlight.
Yay!
All right, so I guess the biggest thing that I see coming in here is weight loss. And so how long has it been since this transformation occurred? Has it been a while or was it a quick deal?
Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on what you consider a while. I mean, I'm already a big guy, so I, it's 6'4", and I always carry a little bit of extra weight. But it was about last year, I want to say in July, that I got word of a senior men's football team that was competing out of Lacombe in the AFL, the Alberta Football League, which is, again, it's senior men's. It's not beer league where, it is a competitive sport. There is 100% contact. And when I heard about this, I kind of missed competing.
What did you compete in?
Well, I competed in football a lot, actually, as in my high school years, and an injury basically put an end to that. And you start doing other things. You realize that you're not going to be a professional athlete, and you move on with your life. But I heard about this league, and I figured it might be worth a shot to get out there and try to compete again. And the first thing I realized is that I am not in near good enough shape to be what I used to be in terms of being able to keep up with some of the other guys on the field. And that bothered me a whole lot. And it was at that point that I started really focusing on trying to lose some of the weight, trying to gain some of the muscle back that I used to have and used to not have in terms of the weight.
How long was that layoff that you? What kind of sports were you playing? To what level? High school, college?
Yeah, high school. I did get a few looks in high school from colleges. In fact, I was going to a college out of high school, but due to an injury, basically the conversations with the colleges ended at that time, and you start to. Again, like I said, you start to look at other options. You start to look at other avenues to take your life. And I don't want to say that it was at that point that I completely fell off the wagon in terms of fitness, but it was. I mean, at that point when I realized, well, I mean, if I'm not going to be able to compete at the level that I want to be able to compete at, then I'm just going to let it all go to...
Let it all hang out.
Yeah, exactly. And it was... Things got really, really messy. In fact, I went from where I was in high school to about 270, and a lot of that was a little bit more muscle, to about 320. When I first started here about 5 years ago, when I was hired on, I was 320 pounds, and none of it muscle, I'm pretty sure, except for maybe my legs.
How long did you carry that extra weight around with you?
Boy, I'd say a good 2 years. From basically In my heaviest, at about 320, it was easily 2 years where, all sorts of exercise just dropped off the face of the planet. I would drive a block and a half as opposed to walk it just to work. And I there's certainly that little voice in the back of your head that's going, why aren't you walking? Why aren't you, because at one point I did try to take a little bit of pride in my body, but, I was having my second child that made me realize that things needed to change. I lost a lot of weight then, and then as it always goes, you start putting it back on. I didn't have a reason to keep the weight off. I went from 320 down to 250 and then put that weight right back on after my program was done. And, I will say that in that program, I got a little help from a weight loss plan. I don't want to give the name away because, I don't think that's any of, the listeners' business, but I was getting help.
Right. So, you know what? I think that's an important subject because a lot of people kind of yo-yo, whether it's a diet, whether it's motivation. So you were able to drop some weight through an external program that helped you out. And then, so why did you go back? Like a lot of people say the compliments, the good feelings, the energy, they really motivate a person to keep going forward. And I'd like to know, because a lot of people go up and down. Well, what point did you say this isn't working, I don't want to do it anymore, and your weight went back up again?
Well, it was at the point where, it's funny because these plans and these programs, and I've got nothing negative to say about any plans or any programs that help people lose weight. As far as I'm concerned, if it helps you, great. But they're unsustainable.
Right.
What I was eating, a man my size at 6'4" should not be trying to sustain life on.
Is this, you talking about too much food or not enough food?
Not nearly enough food. We're talking, in terms of my carbs, I was limited to 2 slices of bread per day or a small potato. And again, I know that carbs are bad and you shouldn't be overly concerned about the number of carbs you're putting into your body, but 2 slices of bread for a guy who's 6'4", I was exhausted. Toward the end of the day, you just felt like my energy was crashing, and there was no such thing as healthy carb alternatives. As you've talked about on your show, you can find the healthy alternative to potatoes by going to sweet potatoes. Or,
right.
There wasn't any of that. There was, this is what you can eat, and this is what you should eat. And when I got to the end of the goal, because you always set your goal weight, and my goal weight on this program was I want to get down to 250, because I know a lot of it wasn't muscle, and there's no reason why I should be carrying any more than that. When I got to that point, I said, yay, mission accomplished.
What is it?
And then I had no reason to keep going.
Right.
I reached the goal and then said to myself, well, I guess that's it. And, that was it for the weight loss journey. It was unsustainable to keep it off, because I just couldn't keep eating that way.
That way.
Yeah.
So how were you able to stay on? How long were you on this program for? How much weight did you lose first off?
Well, I guess it would have been 80 pounds, right? 320 to 250. Am I doing my math right? Is that 70 pounds? Boy, you can tell I'm in radio.
Get a calculator. So you lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
And then, so what kept you on? How long did that take you to lose all this weight?
6 months.
6 months. So 6 months is quite some time to...
No exercising, though. I should mention that. This plan was strictly diet.
Okay.
And there was no exercising involved. And I know what maybe something, wow, that sounds like the greatest plan ever. But it was... Again, like I've said, it was unsustainable.
I think that's with these weight loss plans, and again, I'm not against them either. Some program's gonna help you lose some weight and increase your quality of life, make you feel better about yourself, it's probably a good thing for the most part. But then there always comes with the sustainability, and I think that's where I stand out a little bit, is because I teach healthy lifestyles. I don't teach quick weight loss programs, but just for sustainability in those programs, it seems like in every single one of them, not to call out every one of them, but there's always seems to be people going on and off, and there's no, I guess there's no constant motivation or push to keep someone there after they've reached whatever goal they're after.
Well, and I think, and again, that's the nature of most of the plans that you have to pay for, is that I think these plans realize that there's only so much money in everybody's pocket, and if you have to pay for it, you're going to have to set a goal, because financially you will get to the end of your rope in terms of what you can afford. So you're almost, I don't want to say you're setting yourself up for failure, because there is certainly the option that once you're off the plan to continue living in a sustainable manner all on your own. But most of these plans set you up with a finish line. And once most athletes or most human beings cross a finish line, they say that they've done it, it's over, and the sustainability is no longer an issue because they've won. You know, they've reached that goal. They've crossed that finish line. And now in losing the weight that I gained after the plan, I think that's been the major focus for me, is to tell myself there is no finish line.
Right.
Like, there is no, yay, I've reached what I need to do. I've won. I'm on the podium. Give me my medal. Now give me a burger. Like, it's... There is no finish line. This is how I want to live my life for as long as I can possibly imagine.
This segment brought to you by True Form Fitness. For all your health and fitness needs, personal training and group classes available locally. Visit trueformlife.com for details.
I was recently asked to do an interview for the Olds College on a project a group was working on directed towards quinoa. Given the subject, quinoa is growing, I thought it would be beneficial to share with you some of the questions that were asked, in case you have some questions yourself, and along with the answers, which of course you might want to know the answers too. So let's get started. The first question was, do you agree with the statement, quinoa is a superfood? Yes, I agree quinoa is a superfood. First of all, quinoa contains the highest amount of protein of any grain. So this fact alone makes quinoa stand out as a superfood. It's a complete protein, which means it contains all of the 8 essential amino acids our bodies need but don't produce. On top of protein and amino acids, you have an array of other nutrients which all point directly towards superfood, which include iron, zinc, fiber, calcium and magnesium, to name just a few. The next question is, with your knowledge of the current health food market, do you feel there's an opportunity for a producer to grow quinoa locally, mainly central Alberta, despite some of the challenges the actual production might present? My answer was, I do believe there's potential for a producer to grow quinoa locally. Quinoa is a growing food staple in North American diets, although at times it seems many people don't know about this ancient grain. However, more and more grocery stores are carrying it, in bulk no less, whereas not that long ago, you could only find it specialized in health food stores. This means grocery stores will be doing a better job of marketing and educating their customers on why it's beneficial. More people are not only talking about quinoa and cooking with it, but baking with the flour as well, given the fact it's gluten-free, and there's a growing trend of those being diagnosed with celiac disease. And finally, if we were growing our own quinoa, we'd not only be able to supply ourselves, but we wouldn't have to order shipments from such long distances, weakening economies. Quinoa is native to Peru, which is where most of our product comes from. You can find endless write-ups on the internet about why Peru's economy is weakening and how expensive their own quinoa is by such high demand in North America. Are there other uses for this grain? For example, protein powders or other health food products? As stated earlier, quinoa flour is a growing example of how to use quinoa in other ways. It's gluten-free and also offers different nutritional benefits than a wheat flour would, for example. Puffed quinoa is another byproduct of quinoa, which can be either made or purchased. And there's one very special product in particular, which is all natural. It's a whole food supplement, and it's called Complete Truth Protein Powder. This uses quinoa as one of its 2 main ingredients to offer a perfect blend of nutrients. Given the versatility of quinoa, Complete Truth uses quinoa in their product as an additive to any food substance, whether it's baking, shakes, or smoothies, to increase its nutritional value. Are there any other comments you might have about the idea of local production of quinoa? Any drawbacks, maybe positives?